It reminds me of the movie Blue Velvet. There's an opening scene where it's just, kids are playing, a man's mowing his lawn, a beautiful town, the fire department drives by, they're waving. And all of a sudden, the guy that's mowing the lawn falls down, has a heart attack. And when he falls down, the camera goes from him to underneath the ground. And underneath the ground, there's all these critters, and it shows this like disgusting or evil element that exists under this facade. That's how it is sometimes with people. Sometimes there's people that look the part. They play the part. Yeah, like I know certain people that are in leadership positions in general that come across like they do have command presence, but it's just a facade because they have their ulterior motive. They have an underlying part of them that they're really playing for something else. Is there a way that you, besides maybe spending time with people and seeing if their words match their actions, is there a way that you can tell if somebody's legitimate or if somebody's just playing a role? Earlier, you talked a little bit about this, saying they need to know their job. You need to know your job. That's what I love about you. You seem to be one of the most educated firefighters I've ever known. But on that topic, I'm just talking about, is there something that you say, hey, this is a red flag? And then I want to talk about how we diminish our own command based on an article you wrote.
Okay, so spotting that false command presence, somebody who just has confidence, but yet they're not calm, that's a perfect thing. Somebody who has, is up there on Facebook and Twitter, and yet when they go to emergency, they're running around like Chicken Little. So, I mean, that's the easy one. Probably the one that you really got to pay attention to, and if you really look, you can see the board, is the leader that won't take responsibility for their actions. So you can pick that out in the tailboard critique. You can pick that out in training. I had a call, not even a call, it was a training thing. We were doing a high risk, low frequency training drill off East Rock, which is about a 300-foot cliff. I wrote about it in the book. And we had a rope system. We had people over the edge. And I was there as a safety officer. And I looked at one, I think it was captain at the time. He came by and he looked at the rigging. And then he kind of skirted away. And it just you just got to pay attention. And I said, wait. So I immediately went and looked at the rigging. I stopped the evolution. And Jason Rivera, who teaches at FDIC, I go, Jason, come here for a second. I go, this don't look right. Is the prussics on the wrong side? And Jason goes, yeah. I go, all right, tie them off. We fixed it. I knew he saw it. I reported it up to chain of command. They didn't do anything about it. But the fact of the matter is, I knew they saw it, but they were just so uncomfortable with themselves. They didn't want to be embarrassed, and they didn't want to say, hey, hold on a second here. I don't know. You got to be willing to admit if you don't know something. Right. If you're a boss, you don't have to always have the answer to the question, but you got to be able to ask the right questions. And here's the thing. Lawyers destroyed this for leadership across the country. Okay. Now, first off, there's no profession that's wrong more than the legal profession. Go in any courtroom. One lawyer's right and one lawyer's wrong, right? So they're right and wrong 50% of the time. But what lawyers tell you, and the leadership people took this to heart, they say, don't ask a question unless you know the answer to it. For a lawyer, absolutely. But that's because the lawyer has the benefit of depositions before the trial. They've already asked that person the very same question, and now they're going to ask him again in the trial. So they say, if you didn't ask in deposition, don't ask it in the trial, because now the person can go off. The problem is that normal leaders, business leaders, command officers took that advice and was like, oh, I don't ask a question unless I know the answer to it. I hear so many people say that. I go, because you're a fool. What do you call it? If you don't have the right answer, you have to ask the questions. You don't have the benefit of depositions. You have to cover your blind spots. And the only way you're going to cover your blind spots is by asking questions and empowering people around you. So it's okay to ask a question you don't know the answer to. It's not going to diminish your command presence. It's going to allow you to build your other subordinates so that they're going to cover your blind spots.
Fantastic. I think it's okay to be willing to not be willing. It's necessary to understand that you're not always going to be the smartest person in the room. And you're lucky many times if you're not the smartest person in the room, because that means you're surrounded by people that you can learn from and grow a more successful team from. I've learned this way more being a coach than being a firefighter, because for me, it's like, I firmly believe the best ideas have to win. And many times the best ideas may not be mine. But also being a coach, you learn to put your aces in their places. Who is the right person for this position? And then you have to trust them, and I implement that in my life a lot. I don't want to micromanage. I want to put people in positions that seems to make sense overall for the team, for the end goal, what we're trying to accomplish. And that's the key. What are we trying to accomplish? We need to identify that. And then let's go out and get it done and trust your people.